Hi guys, welcome to weTalk Ajax, an extra edition today. Extra talk together with Pimento.
What's up, my man?
How you been?
Good. You?
Yeah, good. So what you been up to lately?
Watching a lot of football, catching up on news. Actually, also checking the latest on Arsenal with Xtra and the captaincy. So that's kind of fun too.
Oh yeah, that I heard what happened on Sunday during the game. Yeah. It was really angry, right?
Yes,
and the fans were not happy either.
Yeah,
so
man, it was crazy.
All right, so let's stick to Ajax, of course. There are two things I wanted to discuss with you today. One of them being the Beneliga discussion, which we will touch up on this shortly. The second thing is about the training camp that Ajax will go to Qatar in the winter. So there's a couple of discussions going on in media country here in Holland. So I would like to also pick your brain, know what you think of this as well. Let's start with the Beneliga. So the Beneliga is an idea from a lot of people. It has been already suggested decades ago to catch up on the big leagues, like the English Premier League, the German league, the French league, the Spanish league. The idea is that, look, the Dutch league is too small, the Belgian league is too small. Why not just combine them both together so we have a bigger league with stronger teams that participate, and we have more people that will also benefit the teams commercially. So they will get more money from endorsements, more money from TV, etc., and with more money they can attract better players, create better infrastructure, and compete with the bigger teams. What's your idea about that? Do you agree? Do you think this is something we should pursue, or do you think no, this is not the way we should go to catch up on those teams, to be a better team or a league in general?
Let me start with this, okay? I've been doing my research and there's not a lot available on the topic yet. So it's not clear how much more the teams will get in funding, TV rights, whatever.
But just let's keep it abstract. Yeah. Let's keep it in terms of idea, the idea behind it. I mean, we don't have the numbers. We cannot validate anything. That's true. There's nothing clear about that because they're still in the exploratory phase.
Yeah, okay.
But if we think about it, if we think about the idea, what do you think of the idea in general?
I mean, theoretically, it could work in the sense of you will have a higher level of football. Because now if we look at Ajax, for instance, we expect them to win every match.
Almost every match.
But the only one that we don't want to lose from is PSV, because they're always chasing number one spot with us. But Feyenoord has been a competitor with Ajax for a long time, but recently they can't get a good team on the pitch, so there's no competition there.
Yeah, but let me be the devil's advocate here. If we were the strongest team of the league, why don't we why don't we become champions every year? Because that's not the case.
No, look, it's not the case because, first of all, Ajax went into a new direction lately, right?
In recent years.
In recent years with paying higher salaries to some point players in the team that can carry Ajax throughout the years. But it's always been a combination of experienced players with youth players.
No, not always. It has been a combination of veterans and youth players lately, but not in the era of de Boer. Because in the era of de Boer, we were playing only with youth players.
Yeah, that was the whole Johan Cruyff idea of just playing youth players and not go above a certain salary amount, right?
Salary cap.
So, yeah, he wanted a salary cap and nothing above that. But also the strategy of Ajax back then was to only scout in Holland, right?
No, also
get from other teams in the competition.
Also in Scandinavia.
And they started to scout other places, like nearest Brazil, Tagliafico, Argentina.
Yes, but look, these happened. We have to cut a little bit and go into the history. If we look back 10 years ago until now, Ajax was also not they were not in the position that they can invest heavily in the players that they're investing right now. So the Neres, the Tagliaficos, the Blind coming back, Tadic coming back, to the Dutch league. These are made possible by the fact that Ajax was heavily cutting on their budget investing in youth in the beginning, in the era of the Boer, becoming champions, playing in the Champions League, being successful, having good campaigns. So they had a lot of money after a while, and now they're in a financial position, relatively speaking, here in the Dutch league, that they can invest more than PSV, more than Feyenoord, more than anyone. So people already are talking here like Ajax can become the Bayern Munich of Holland, of the Netherlands. You know, that's another discussion, by the way. I'm not gonna go into that. But my idea is, why do we need the Beneliga idea if Ajax is already doing so well? I'm talking about the Ajax from Ajax standpoint. Why would Ajax want to participate in the Beneliga? Why? They're doing well already. Financially, they're maybe at their highest, at their peak. Also, in terms of how they're doing nationally, internationally in the Champions League, it's amazing. So why would we want to pursue that?
Last year was amazing. Before that,
2 years ago,
great.
Peter Bos, Europa League final.
Yeah, okay, Europa League, but you're saying Champions League, so I'm just correcting you.
Last year was Champions League, but 2 years
last year
ago,
was the first time a Dutch team got so far in the Champions
for a
League.
Dutch team, reaching the final of a Europa League is a big thing.
But before that, bro, it wasn't.
Because we were not financially in that position yet.
So it only has to do with finances.
No, I'm telling you, because we can, if we have the finances, we have the means to invest in better players. Better players generally means better results.
Yeah, I don't agree, because if you look at Ajax last year and how they did, the best players were youth players that didn't cost them that much. And
last year, the best players were youth players?
Yeah, De Ligt, Frenkie de Jong. You don't agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. They were very
holding,
good.
They were holding the
good.
midfield and the defense.
No, they were very good, but I think you're being a little bit too easy in the fact that Tadic was very key. Ziyech was very key. Blind coming back also was very key.
Okay. But I still think you need a good defense and a good midfield for the attackers to
Let's
get
come
results.
back to the Beneliga discussion.
Okay.
So, what's your opinion?
My opinion is that it's in theory a great idea, but I don't think in real life it will work that way. First of all, the smaller teams will go bankrupt because the lower teams will not go into that league. Second, it could easily be that only Belgian teams go to the Champions League. Will you watch a Champions League match of a Belgian team? I don't. And third, I kind of see the idea that the competition can get stronger and you can hold better players longer. But there's no guarantee there that it will get stronger.
Okay, so you're not convinced yet. You're not opposed to it, but you're not convinced.
I'm not convinced, and I'm not sure yet how much money we're talking about in increased TV rights, increased TV money, increased. What is the increase? 10 million?
Champions League spots, Europa League spots, etc. When combining those,
we're
two
losing
leagues.
Champions League spots and Europa League spots
Probably,
when we start.
yes, probably.
So we have to gain it again. I think. Now 2 Champions League contenders in Holland and 3 go to the Europa League. And how much does Belgium have?
They're at their 8th position in the UEFA ranking, so they have a better position. They go with 2 teams go to the Champions League, I guess, and a few more to the Europa League, including the qualifying rounds.
But I do want to say this though. More money doesn't mean you will always get better results. It has also to do with good strategies in the club.
Of course.
Okay. Ajax has a way of playing, a philosophy. If you look at Feyenoord, I really don't understand how they can fall so far behind of Ajax. If you look at PSV, they had a lot of great results. They have been champion a lot of the times, but their structure, the way they get players is maybe not profitable for them.
Okay.
But also, if you look at Arsenal, for instance, they buy Pepe, 85 million, but still they're not getting results. So it's not only getting more money will set you in a higher league.
Yeah. Okay, clear. We have to move on to the next topic. It was mentioned last week that Ajax for the winter break, between the 2 half of the seasons, they will go to Qatar for a week to train there. and there were some people complaining about this from a perspective of how can you go to Qatar knowing how Qatar has been treating the people in building these stadiums for the World Cup coming up, because there were reports from also Amnesty International, but also Human Rights Watch, etc. How the people from abroad that are helping building the stadium, how they're mistreated actually. They're underpaid, underfed. They treat them as slaves, basically modern slaves. And even worse, there have been reported death of 1,700 people while building these stadiums because of unhealthy and unsafe working conditions. So people are criticizing Ajax for going there because of that. Ajax at the same time is saying, listen, you have to look at it differently. Sports, politics, we cannot mix that together. We're going there because it's a good place for us to train. And what they didn't say, but what also has been mentioned, is that they will have 700,000 euros given to them for being there in Qatar. What's your opinion on that one?
That's a hard discussion because I do agree with you shouldn't involve politics with football.
Mm-hmm.
That's first. Second, they wouldn't treat the workers like that if the UEFA didn't choose them for the World Cup. So why do that in the first place? Second, why doesn't the UEFA have something in place to check how things happen towards the World Cup and how everything is set up?
Mm-hmm.
So we do live in a corrupt world, man, and
Okay.
You can listen.
I do agree. But listen to me.
Let
me just say something.
Mm-hmm.
Just say something. I agree with you on what you're saying, that the UEFA should have more responsibility or also monitoring what's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you on that one. But now we're talking about the Ajax, from Ajax standpoint.
Okay, but why should Ajax take a standpoint and the organization that deals into the whole everything that does with soccer doesn't? And furthermore, for Ajax, 700,000 is a lot of money. Shouldn't they choose it just because they don't agree with the way things are happening in Qatar?
So you don't think a football club has a moral responsibility?
I do to a certain point, but
not this point.
But no, I just think if you're going to do it for this, you have to do it for everything. Is that something that's...
What do you mean? Elaborate. What do you mean everything?
Then everything what is wrong in the world, you have to consider before you do anything. And there's a lot of things wrong in the world.
To a certain extent, you have to know the environment in which you operate. Yes, you have to know what you're doing as a club. Your fans are your livelihood, your blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if you go to a place in which people are mistreated, there are some fans that will not like that.
And there are also some fans that went there for a holiday and spend money there.
But the person that goes there on holiday to Qatar doesn't have a function in society. It doesn't serve as something in society. It doesn't say that we are a brand. Ajax is a brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's an international brand. They're trying to expand. They're trying to show the world who they are. Is that a good sign that they go to Qatar then? You tell me. You're saying it doesn't matter. It's not you cannot link what's happening with Qatar to Ajax. That's what you're saying. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, that's exactly my point.
I know.
There is more countries like that have issues. I mean, even the World Cup in South Africa and the way everything happened was also not good. Does that mean national teams shouldn't go to the World Cup?
But we're not talking about national teams.
Look.
World Cup,
if you have a responsibility, you will have a responsibility for everything.
But you have to look at it differently. World Cups and European Cups, you're obliged to go and play there, right? Kind of. Ajax is not obliged to go to Qatar for the winter break. They can go to any other country.
Why should Ajax then involve himself in politics? If nobody does, why should Ajax? I really don't understand. I know it's a brand, but is it the only club that went to Qatar to train?
So you're that naive that you think that no club would ever distinguish or take into account where they go at?
No, I just
because
think,
of those reasons.
I just think the way things are spoken of are very easy, but it.
Do you see? Let me make it different to you. If Iran gave Ajax €1.5 million to go training camp and set the training camp there, do you think Ajax will go to Iran?
No,
Why?
because I think Iran has an embargo, and West and Iran have problems at the moment.
But we're saying politics and sports should be segregated. So you see, you cannot segregate everything from each other. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, but you go directly to a country that in the Western world everybody thinks it's a terrorist country. But if they would be invited to go to China, wouldn't they? Manchester City went to China.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay. That's true. Okay. So, all right. So you don't see any difference between China, for instance, and Qatar?
Is there?
I'm asking you the question.
Do you think nothing wrong happens in China, for instance?
Of course it does.
Okay, so things will happen in Qatar that are wrong.
Okay.
Do you have to also take that into consideration? I mean, I saw Manchester City going to China.
Yeah. No, there are more teams going there as well. Yeah, I know. I'm asking the questions.
I know you're asking the questions, but it's kind of weird, and everybody has their opinion. I understand, but if you're going to consider all these things that happen in the world, you might not go anywhere.
Okay, so coming back to the two topics. First of all, the Beneliga. You don't see any concrete results at the moment, but you wouldn't be opposed to it at the moment until there's more data on it. That's number one. I agree?
Agree.
Second thing you said about Qatar and Ajax, we shouldn't complain about it because it's not Ajax's primary responsibility what's happening in Qatar.
No.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Anytime, man.
All right. See you next time. Guys, thank you. And please subscribe to our channel and we'll see you next time. Thank you.